What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos, coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona. Today, we will be discussing the Abby and Libby case out of Delphi, Indiana. Lots going on. Seems to be a case that will just never end. When will they have justice? I don't even hear their names mentioned very much these days. It's Richard Allen this, Richard Allen that. Man, I got to really give it to the defense team. They're doing a great job. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I don't fault them for that. What's up, Rain Dancer? We reap what we sow. Little garden humor. TJ says another torture porn document by the defense. I didn't Odinism mention this time though. I think it was briefly in some of the documents. And hey, if you have proof that this was a ritualistic killing, hopefully and it's true and it can prove that's what happened. Hopefully the jury will see that. They'll see it for what it is. And if Richard Allen is an innocent man, I hope that he walks free, because I am 100% biased. I've been looking at this case from the beginning. I'm doing a series right now proving my case knowledge. I'm giving you my receipts. I'm putting it all out there. I'm not just mumbling and showing you some kind of fake outrage, you know. So I haven't checked with the outrage mafia yet, but I'm sure they're complaining about how Richard Allen has to wear handcuffs, right? That's what all prisoners do. He's in confinement. Oh my God, he should be able to go do aerobics and go join a sewing class. That's not what prison is about. Well, why is he in prison? Well, this is a very high profile case. And if we gave Richard Allen the exact environment, or we, not we, them, Indiana, if Indiana gave a Richard Allen, well, I say we because they act as if we have the power. Like we're just observers, right? Calm down. But if we gave him the environment that they were looking for, that they considered ideal for Richard Allen, he would hurt himself within minutes. First chance he got, and then they'd be like, oh, okay, well, now we can't do anything because he killed himself. I guess we were wrong. Maybe we are the ones that really don't give a shit about Richard Allen. Sorry, I'm texting my wife. Hold on. She's asking me about breakfast. Good to see you, TJ, Rain Dancer, CJK, TGIF, Cynthia. Good morning. What's up, Frederica? Good morning to you. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you, Susie, Stephanie, Beth, Farmer. What up? One more fall. Hiya. Chopper, what's up? Let's hit him one time. We haven't hit it in a while.
Get to the chopper!
Boom. Good morning, Jill. Happy Friday, Sparky. What up, TJ? What kind of flowers you got? I have cosmos mostly and a handful of sunflowers. Happy Friday, Jill. Good to see you, Stephanie. What up, Yankee? Yeah, you got it. I'm trying to put everything in that series that I have. Some things I'm skipping over, like there's no reason to put Pat Brown's face all over the, stuff like that. But we definitely talked about it. We talked about how he fits in, some of the nuanced stuff. Oh, the Dropbox with Keegan Klein. That's one of those situations where Keegan Klein could have information on Richard Allen and not even know it. Like law enforcement can know it. They can see a connection. Maybe he doesn't know it. Stephanie says he'd be dead if he was in general population. Yeah, if you really cared about him, you would be a little bit more understanding on what's going on. What was something they were bringing up before? The yelling and the screaming, right? That's what happens to accused child killers. It's not something that's just happening to Richard Allen. Like, are you hearing what you're saying? Like, you want him to have some kind of special treatment? He's getting the treatment for his circumstances. The dude is apparently eating feces. What makes you think he wouldn't take a pen and put it right through his own neck? Just because the defense team is trying to inflate this doesn't mean that you as an individual have to eat it up. Yes, he could be guilty, and I'm happy to eat that crow. Do I believe he's innocent? No. And the fact that I believe he is guilty is telling me that not only does he have no remorse, this man is much more cunning than we could have ever expected. The fact that he had confessed multiple times, and then the latter of the confessions, he says, "Oh, well, I shot them in the back." To me, that shows me a liar who can play chess. He's looked 3 moves ahead, knowing that damn well they weren't shot. But if he says that, he'll get the desired reaction from the idiots. He's been doing this his entire life. That's how he got away for 6.5 years. And I'm to the point now where I'm thinking he's probably done this before. Where has he traveled? Where has he spent extensive time out of the state? I heard old Bobby. Who's Bobby? Put on an award-winning theatrical last night or spectacle about Allen getting off. A new salacious docs triggered him, apparently. Yeah, see, kudos to the defense team. Very impressive. I would, if I needed a defense attorney, that's the first folks I would call if I lived in Indiana. Because they're going to do fucking karate kicks out, as soon as they step into that courtroom. They're going to walk in and slap the first old lady they see. Psh, this is my courtroom. That's what you need. But you as an individual looking in from the outside shouldn't be licking the glass. That's you. Oh my God, he's being harassed. Lick, lick, lick. You're smashing your face up against the glass and blowing on it to where you have kind of like a funny face, where your cheeks kind of get all swolled up. Doesn't mean that's what you have to do as an individual. I'm willing to be patient. I think it's possible Richard Allen is an innocent man. I'm not 100% convinced. If I was on the jury and I had to decide today, it would be not guilty. But that's because I haven't seen anything. All I know is they found a bullet. Hey, I haven't seen any comparisons. So I'd have to say no, because that's the most damning piece of information in my book. The fact that he was there, witnesses are most likely going to point at him and say, yeah, that's the guy we saw wearing a blue coat, blue jeans. And then when, that's the man that we saw in the video. And that's going to be the kicker right there. That's him right there in the courtroom. The jury's going to be like, they're pointing at this man. Yeah, we saw him. And then when they showed us the video, we told law enforcement that that was the guy that we saw. The same guy that was in Libby's video was the same guy that passed us. The same guy that passed us is most likely the guy who drove by in a full black Ford Focus at 126 and was seen at the CPS building. Now, did Betsy Blair see an older model car, a Comet? I believe she did. And I also believe that she gave the young sketch of Richard Allen because she saw him on the bridge. She saw him with great light, him looking up, most likely smoking a cigarette. What's up, Tattoo? Stephanie, they say it's a false confession because he said he shot them. Exactly. They're saying it's a false confession because Richard Allen designed it that way. These are people who play checkers, trying to understand a chess player. They can't even begin to do it. They don't understand the game. They don't understand how you have to be 4 to 5 moves ahead to understand. And that's what Richard Allen is doing. He's saying, if I do this, this will happen. So then I need to do this. I can almost guarantee you the confession that he made where he states he shot them is the latest confession, because that is the manipulating piece that he's injected. Knowing damn well they weren't shot. Even by that point, he should know that they weren't shot. What's up, anything I like? What's up, Tech? It's got dandelions. Yeah, I love Cosmos. All the different colors, the bright orange. But most importantly, they bring the bees, the honeybees. Asla, I think I might have thrown some out there. Those are the ones with like the arrow seeds where you can drop them and they just stick into the ground. Yeah, I think I did plant some of those. Peruvian, good to see you. The public polarization of the Apple River trial reminded me of Delphi. Yeah, we covered that case. And we tried to glean information from it. We were looking at it in relation to the Delphi case. And everybody's like, well, how could a one man like Richard Allen kill 2 young girls? Well, go look at the Apple River killing or stabbings. Well, yeah, it was a killer. He was charged with murder. All he did was stick the knife out. He just extended his arm twice, bop, bop, and then another one, he just put his arm out. And one man died and another man almost lost his life, changed his life forever. And he didn't even move anything but his arm. And he was able to do that much damage. So good point. Yeah, I agree with that. Farmer Sleuth, I feel like you could do a whole part on the ski mask incident. I would call in for that. My knowledge of and around this incident is pretty full. I mean, we pretty much beaten that as far as we can. Without knowing the location and the exact day it happened and who it happened with, there's just no way to find the incident report or even begin to ask about it. Jill says, I don't trust anything this defense says. Well, you shouldn't trust anything anybody says. It's what they can prove. All we've heard are words. And then you'll hear, oh, well, Richard Allen, he's being railroaded. Okay, well, the burden of guilt is on the prosecution. At what point is your non-bias opinion going to allow Nick McClelland to lay out his case? At what point you're accusing everybody of railroading an innocent man, yet you're doing the exact opposite by trying to set him free without even hearing anything that the prosecution has. You could be talking about a child killer here. I don't want to say call him a child killer, but you don't know if he's a child killer or not. So why are you so gung ho to get him out, to do this, to that, to stand up for him with a bunch of bullshit? Oh, you see his hands are cuffed. Well, no shit. He's accused of killing 2 kids and he's said he was going to hurt himself. Like, what the hell are you talking about? What did the defense say? Hannibal Lecter. I don't remember them wheeling him in on anything. I don't remember them putting a cover over his face. All they did was put a shock vest on him like they do a lot of folks. They didn't design it for Richard Allen. He's not the first contestant on The Price of Let's Shock Your Ass. You guys are being ridiculous. It's like you've only looked at one case. And now you're seeing how crazy the prison system is and the justice system. Yeah, there needs to be reform. Glad you're finally paying attention to it. But if you look outside the Delphi case, you'll see that this is happening to all of the prisoners. Just because the defense says, oh, I've never seen this before. What do we hear from the Parrot Brigade? I've never seen this before. Can you even think for yourself for even a moment? Or is it all about the outrage? It's all about checking the temperature of your unhinged audience, right? And just giving them what they want. Well, we're not drinking the Kool-Aid. We're not doing it. What's up, Miss Thang? Good to see you. Stop that right now. Morning. Anything I like says someone stated the other day he didn't have a breakdown for 6 years, also managed to go to work every day. That I don't know. I think you would need to subpoena medical records to know for sure. Frederica, we got 1 month to find out. I'm pretty sure they'll find a way to delay the trial. It'll be a plea or a delay. Rain Dancer says the defense is leaving out things constantly. Yeah, they're supposed to. We're going to leave out incriminating, and we're going to amplify anything that points away from our client. Even if it means mucking up the waters, right? Susie says the prosecution have to have more evidence. They wouldn't have arrested him on a hunch. All I know about that, Susie, is the defense team isn't going to tell us about that. If there's anything out there that's harmful to the public opinion of their client, whether he's guilty or not, we will never ever hear from the defense team about it. And if it doesn't belong in some kind of official document, we won't hear from the prosecution about it either, because they plan to methodically present their case in that courtroom with facts, with evidence, with the family members in the courtroom, with the accused sitting right there, Richard Allen's family. You're going to have the Williams family, the Patties, Timmons. They're all going to be sitting in there. I would like to see some of these folks stand in front of all of these family members and say, oh, justice for Richard Allen. I wouldn't do it, because they know it's wrong and they know they're only speaking to a mob who they can quickly check that temperature. Oh, yep, crazy. It's crazy. It's easy to feed the alligators. You just dangle the meat, over the thing on a long stick. Good to see you, Patricia. Frederica says, you already know I think he's a serial killer. Well, if they can convict him in court, yeah, it's going to be hard for me to get past that he might have done this before. That's if they can convict him. But if they can't, he needs to walk free. With a lot more, not just walk free. There needs to be some compensation and a lot of crow being handed out on a plate with a fork and a knife. Be happy to do that. But what I won't do is support somebody who might be a child killer. I think there's a little bit more from the prosecution right now telling me that Richard Allen might be a killer than there is from the defense telling me that he's not. Because everything that they've put out there, he could very well be involved in all of that. He could still be the bridge guy. Stephanie, the Allen supporters, well, they don't say that they're Allen supporters. They're supporting justice and rights for all, right? But yet they haven't even heard what the prosecution has to say. So they're hypocrites. They're accusing us of something that they're projecting blatantly, and it doesn't even seem they are aware of it. The Allen supporters say, oh, there were no evidence of essay on autopsy. Essay doesn't always mean penetrate. He could have used his hands, mouth. It's still just as horrible. Well, I mean, just forcing them to undress would be essay. Just grabbing them and saying something threatening. And sometimes the act alone is not specifically for that very moment for sexual arousal. What they'll do is they'll store it, they'll take photographs, they'll take trophies, and then they'll relive the moment. I mean, that's what happened. They took trophies from this crime scene. Or Richard Allen took trophies. Whoever killed the girls took trophies. Stop that right now. My daughter has always thought that Evansdale 2 are somehow related. Well, two rare types of cases, two girls in the middle of the day, found in a wooded area. There was a phone left at the kidnapping site. The dates are reversed. They're exactly, I think, like 5 years apart or something like that. Yeah, I think 5 years apart. Yeah, a lot of strange coincidences with Evansdale. Hey, Jamie, I would never hire those bozos, but that's just me. I'd rather have attorneys that had my best interest and not a bunch of loser clout chasers. See, that's a good point, too. But the thing is, it depends on me, too. Like, I would know what they're doing. I feel like Richard Allen's not, I think he does know because I think he wants to sow the seeds of chaos. I think he enjoys it. We're really learning how cocky he is. Yeah, that'd be awful. But it would even be worse if he had nothing to do with it and was arrested. I just don't think that that's the case. Like, that's common sense how awful that would be. Doesn't mean that's what's happening just because that's an awful scenario. Thank you, Farmer. Gail, Richard Allen is probably guilty because if the police went in to pin it on somebody, they had better choices. Yeah, I feel like it would have been easy to pin it on Keegan Kline. I mean, here's a good question. What is Richard Allen's alibi? Nobody really talks about that. They're always talking about Brad Holder's alibi and all these other people's alibi. What's Richard Allen's alibi? CJ Cases, and you're right. Allen is cunning in a very sinister way. Yeah, very sinister. If he's guilty. Because if he's guilty, this proves that all of these steps that he's been taking us through, I mean, just no remorse in it. And the storytelling and the fact that a man has taken his own life and the victims' families are continuing to suffer while he's, meeting with his attorneys and doing all this. I have a feeling that he's afraid. I think Richard Allen is afraid of prison. He hears these people yelling at him, and I think he was ready to confess. He was like, yeah, I can do this. I got my tablet. I can communicate with my wife. I'll be able to see my grandchildren. This isn't the end of the road for me. I'll show some sympathy, some remorse. I'll take a plea deal. But then he started hearing the screaming. We're going to get you, Richard. Child killer. And he's like, I can't do this. There's no way I can spend the rest of my life in here. I won't make it. That's when he started listening to his defense attorneys. And then he knew once he understood the game plan, he'll do everything on his side. The acting crazy or actually being crazy. That could be a big part of the motive. Like the explanation is he just went crazy. That happens. Jill says, Sleuth, I feel the gunshot confession is the new one as well. Yeah, if it's the latest, I mean, that makes perfect sense, right? He's doing his part. He needs to create more chaos. He needs to be more proactive. Because if he is the killer, he's proven from the very beginning how proactive he is. I'm going to come forward. Because if I don't, they're going to come looking for me. Right? He's a chess player. He sat down and he said, well, if I don't come forward, they're going to come looking for me, and then I'll surely look guilty. And at that point, they'll have enough to search my home. But if I come forward and tell them that I saw everybody that saw me, there's absolutely nothing that they can do because I didn't see the victims. He's admitting to everything but the crime. You try taking that to a judge and get a search warrant. Well, we found this guy. He came forward, and we want to search his home because he matches the description. He matches the video. Okay, did you talk to him? Well, actually, he called the tip line. Okay. He called the tip line? Yeah, and then old Dooley over here went and met him. But he didn't bring his recording equipment or he didn't take very good notes. Well, how are we going to search his home? Did anybody see him there? Yeah, 3 girls saw him. Well, what did he have to say? Well, he said he saw the 3 girls too. Boys, we got nothing. And that could have been what Robert Ives was talking about. We thought we were going to have this thing solved in 4 days. Well, try getting a search warrant with that. You can't get a search warrant on that. So the fact that Richard Allen was proactive, he snubbed any opportunity to have his property searched, maybe even any interest. So if he is the killer, we are looking at a very proactive minded individual. He's taking steps in advance. He's doing things that he knows will pop up later, like the whole confession with the gun. Now, it could be a false confession, and he could still be guilty and be crazy, right? He could have actually stabbed them, but now be in this state of mind where he's talking about shooting them. Or he could just be completely out of his mind as an innocent person, which is why everybody in the outrage mafia is going to lean to that, right? They're torturing him. He's coerced. He's under duress. The other inmates are yelling at him. They're handcuffing him. He's only allowed to go out for an hour. This is inhumane. Well, yeah, prison is inhumane. There needs to be a lot of changes, but it's nothing new. And to try to act like this is all new for Richard Allen, I get why the defense does it, but why are you doing it? It's dishonest. And you know it. But your unhinged sleuth crew rejects don't. And that's what you're feeding to. What's up, Gail? He had years of manipulating people, and all he has time to do is think in there. So I think the crazy was all an act. Because, of course, he's crazy. Look what he did to Abby and Libby. Potentially, right? Yeah. If he is convicted, all of this is shedding light on who he really is. Very, very manipulative. I mean, just the fact that he came forward early on. I mean, what a strategic move on his part to evade law enforcement that way. Brilliant. I'm a firm believer in being proactive. You know, you never sit around and react to things. You need to be on point. You need to be on top of it, taking care of things. And I think that's the approach Richard Allen took. So I wonder if he did plan this crime out. Some kind of sick thrill kill. Unless they can prove it, Farmer, I'm willing to listen. I mean, we did our own investigating on the information they were putting out, and everything that we could find or touch was proven to be wrong or possibly a lie. So we definitely can't trust it, but I'm looking forward to the evidence that they present. I'm just getting sick of people trying to call what they've shown us so far as evidence. It's more of a fairy tale novel. People are taking it as a reality. Same goes for the prosecution. They need to prove that that bullet matches with Richard Allen's gun. And I believe they have a good match. They've served a few different search warrants, and those folks had 40 caliber weapons, and they ran tests just like they did with Richard Allen. Now, if those tests would have came back positive, guess who we would have been talking about? We would have been talking about Maxwell, Weber, but we're not. Logan. But we're not talking about those folks because guess what? There was no match. But guess who had a match? Why wouldn't they plant a bullet for Logan? How easy would that be? He has a record. It's his property. They already suspect him. He kind of looks like the bridge guy. He wears a blue coat all the time and blue jeans. Just drop one of his bullets in the crime scene and it's a wrap. It would have been a wrap a long time ago. Why Richard Allen? Why now? Oh, it could have something to do with Julie Melvin going around telling everybody that they found a 40 caliber unspent shell at the crime scene. You know, one of those aces that the law enforcement like to talk about that they keep close to their chest. Well, we got somebody who cheats at cards, and it wasn't shortly after that that we began hearing the name Richard Allen. So they could have been conducting an investigation, and YouTubers spoiled it. It really is that simple. Now, their worst fears are being realized. They're going up against a great defense team, and they don't have everything that they were hoping to have. But because of somebody leaking that information, they couldn't risk Richard Allen getting rid of his gun, because then it would be over. So either way, they got the markings from the gun. It's documented. As long as it's not thrown out, it will forever be on record. And they possibly had to take that chance. It may have nothing to do with Keegan Kline. It may have nothing to do with anything. But people being nosy, we've known about the 40 caliber for a long time. You didn't hear us talking about it. Not once will you ever pull up a video or a live stream of me talking about that. And I know a handful of other folks that kept that quiet too. Because this case was important to us and still is. Actions speak louder than words, folks. Just remember that. Forget the witchcraft and the sorcery, with the sharp tongue. Just watch how people act and the things that they do. What's up, V? Good to see you. Fight for justice. Welcome in. Kool-Aid gives me heartburn. Yeah, wait till they put strychnine in it. Hey, what's up, Connie? Hey, Vic, what's up? I'm not pro-defense. I'm pro-constitution. I'm not racist. I'm a nationalist. I like that because I'm very patriotic and I am pro-constitution. That's why I hope that if Richard Allen is an innocent man, that he walks out of that courtroom as such, and I'll happily eat crow and I'll happily apologize. And I know you shouldn't have to, but I really don't have a whole lot to apologize for. Maybe blasting his face all over the place, right? Crow 740. Nobody ever is found innocent. It's not guilty. Yeah, that's a good point. Because you're not innocent. We just can't prove that you're guilty. And that's how it should be. Gail says Richard Allen worked at CVS where everyone came in to get meds when they were sick, and his wife was a help for a veterinarian. These were two outstanding citizens in our county. He must be guilty. Outstanding, really? They're going to let him off and he's going to run for mayor? But there is one thing that I want to take back. Everybody has said, oh, well, Richard Allen, if he's guilty, he would be yelling it from the rooftops. See, I take that back. He shouldn't have to. In the courtroom, he should. I think that he should take the stand and he should say, I didn't do it. But him yelling to the crowd, I mean, I would, but he shouldn't have to prove that he's innocent to us. The burden shouldn't be on him. So that's one thing I did want to take back. So that was a stance I took early on, was that why is he not stepping out of that van and saying, I didn't do it. I'm being railroaded. They set me up. They planted the bullet. I hike there all the time. I don't know how they got my bullet. This is they're setting me up. But now I'm of the opinion he shouldn't have to do that. He can stay quiet, and when they get in the courtroom, he can go to war with the prosecution because the burden is on them. So that's just one thing I wanted to correct. He shouldn't answer to the mob. He owes us no answers. He owes that courtroom an answer if he's innocent. V says eating poo has a direct correlation with neurological and psychiatric disorders. They are setting up insanity in case any of this other BS doesn't pan out. Multiple cards being played here. Yeah, and it sounds like Richard Allen, the more he hears people yelling at him, the more eating poo and making yourself seem crazy really is on the table now. Because wasn't there a case of a man who did that in court where he just started eating his own feces or something like that? And he still was found not to be innocent or insane. Now looky here. He don't know what time he was there. Well, he better. He needs an alibi because those witnesses know exactly when he was there. And thank goodness they took that photo. It has a timestamp on it. Ted Nugent out of Vietnam. V. Marie says they placed the daughter in those docks for the first time ever, acting as if she is supported. Oh, did they? I must have skipped over. Well, I think that's huge. I think if she is being supported, that's some. If the daughter is being supportive of Richard Allen, I think that should be something that's talked about. Because that means that it shows that he may not have been assaulting his own family members. But if they're not being supportive, it makes you wonder. But somebody that's being victimized by this person, they're going to be all for the prosecution. Like, I knew he was a monster. He was abusing me my whole life. But if they're coming forward in support of this person, that paints a totally different picture. Yep, Beth. And that's what they're supposed to do. In my opinion, they have no plans of going in that courtroom. Is this the beginning of the insanity stuff? Hey, Candace. Jill says, I can't wait to see all of the evidence the prosecution has. Hopefully, they will have the jury that has common sense and can render a verdict based on facts and not gibberish. I was thinking that same thing. And I'm hoping the defense picks a good jury, too. Like I said, I don't want an innocent man going to prison. And I admit that I am biased. I'm very self aware of where I stand with all of this. But that's why we have the court system. That's why we have, that's why he's going to go through the whole trial process to hopefully weed out that kind of bias. Good to see you, Hiawatha. The outrage. All right, guys, we're going to go to a couple more. This was just going to be a quick little, ended up being more of a rant, it appears, than anything. Another YouTuber said the government is framing Richard Allen. I know, it's very strange. Somehow it's Shane Evans, Nick McClelland, Kelsey, who was 16 at the time. She was a baby. And people keep abusing her. What kind of grown man attacks a child like that? Disgusting. So somehow these, and the Odinites, the Odinists, all of them are somehow working in unison, in coercion, cohesion even. Maybe that was shit on his shirt. With the trial only a month away, the defense is aware of all the evidence. We aren't, but the state and defense have already played all their cards. We just haven't seen them. No, I think we just haven't seen the cards. I think it's reversed. We've seen all of the defense team's cards. And they've seen all of the prosecution's cards, but we haven't seen their cards, but we've seen the defense team's cards. They were too busy talking and they had their hand down, acting like they weren't doing it on purpose. They're showing 2 aces, right? But yet there's 4 more in the deck. Yeah, Gail, same. Multiple sources have said he was an extremely quiet person. But you have his neighbor saying, hey, if my family was in trouble, I would send them to Richard Allen. That stuff matters. That means that he wasn't a blatant, like, creepy guy. You know what I mean? Well, at least not at that point. He said he hadn't seen him in a long time, but his neighbor did say, hey, if my family was in trouble, I would send them over there. He also said, I haven't seen him in a while. You know, maybe he joined the Vinlanders or whatever, but yep, Farmer, exactly. And the things that we're calling exculpatory are going to be admissible soon enough because it has nothing to do with what the prosecution is saying. It's like you guys are arguing something that we're not even talking about. We're presenting evidence of why Richard Allen is a guilty person, and you're talking about something else. So either you have hard evidence that he wasn't there and he wasn't participating with these other people, because we plan to prove that he was there. So it's really that simple. We're telling you that we can prove he's the bridge guy. That instead of the defense team saying, oh, well, I'm going to prove that he's not, they're going off and they're doing all this crazy stuff. So it's like they're not even getting ready for a trial. Richard Allen, why was your bullet found at the crime scene? The defense team's going to say. Brad Holder. Well, what does that have? How are you tying this all? How does this have to do with anything? Well, his son was dating Abby. Isn't it obvious? See, you can't argue YouTube science in court. It doesn't work. Because you need actual evidence or proof or something tangible, something to show to the jury. This is why it's true. Okay, how do you know it's true? Can you prove to us that this is true? No, but it's very convincing, isn't it? Right? Yeah, that is a coincidence. All right, let's go to Heather Swanson. You don't have to know somebody to observe them. I observe lots of people habits in my town. If Richard Allen really did plan this murder out, he knew where he was taking the girls. And he also was fully aware of people who may have been observing him. From what we've seen, and if he is a guilty man, I think he could have very well planned this out. Hiding in plain sight, right? Knowing that people might look at you differently. Good comment. That's true. If he's cunning enough to do it, he could have easily made that observation, especially considering he worked at the only pharmacy in the area. Because screaming you're innocent makes you look more guilty. You think so? I guess in some cases, I guess it's like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. It's like if he did step out of the van and was like, I'm innocent, people would just find a way to say that he's lying. It's why the whole court process and going to trial is so important. Because imagine the mob, and YouTube kind of represents the majority of humanity. Imagine that mob having any power over anything with no logic, no proof, all emotional, no logic, just groupthink. It's just a 100% mob mentality. That's how people get dragged out of their home and drugged behind a vehicle. Bunch of idiots in a position of power. So I'm not pro law enforcement. I'm not pro goal. I'm not pro Nick. I'm just pro process, because without this process, we can't have closure. So I don't want to attack that process. Fuck Nick, fuck goal, fuck. It doesn't matter to me. I need them to be on their game. And I expect all of these shenanigans from the defense. And I expected Goal to handle it in a professional manner, which she has. So I'm happy with all of that. I expect Nick and the defense to be up to something, You don't become an attorney without having a huge ego or being goal driven or competitive for that matter. So you're looking at a bunch of competitive people. This is kind of the behavior I would expect. Hey, what's up, Camaro? Can somebody explain how his daughter was supporting him? I read all the documents. I just must have missed that part. I read everything word for word. I just don't understand, what prison are you going to as a suspected child killer where inmates aren't yelling at you and trying to torment you all day? Like, what fantasy land are you guys from? Are you that sheltered where you don't realize that this happens? And I don't remember them wheeling Richard Allen in on a dolly, strapped to the dolly with his mouth covered, saying, "Go, love the suit." Like, this ain't a movie, guys. If they put Richard Allen where you wanted him, he would hurt himself instantly, or others would get to him. And then all you would say was, "Oh, my bad. Why'd you listen to me? I'm not an expert. I guess I was wrong about that. I guess we'll never have justice." Because you don't know what that is. They do. Is there corruption? Hell yeah. Do I like cops? No. I can tell you some stories about cops. I had a cop try to murder me one time. Does that mean all cops are trying to kill me now? I'm here to support the process. I just want to see closure for this case. And a lot of these people don't realize that they're projecting their evils. They don't see that it's on full display. But I see you. Randall Slinker, what does Abby and Libby's parents think about Richard Allen's guilt? Well, I know that they've learned to be patient. So I'm sure that's what they're doing. They know they're still climbing and they're not at the summit yet. They're not there yet. They're still keeping that steady pace from when they heard about Chadwell, when they heard about Garrett Kurtz, when they heard about Daniel Nations. They just kept going. Steady pace all the way to the top. They're getting close. They're almost there. Regardless of the resistance. Hats off is all I got to say. Priscilla of Boston. Shout out to Boston. There was a nice family guy in my town, suburban dad, well liked, and then he killed his wife, twin 3-year-olds, and the grandmother. So yeah, Richard Allen blended in. Not impossible to believe Richard Allen went unnoticed. And if he does have some issues going on where his mental health and it's removing him from reality, I don't know. I'm just saying if they go for the insanity plea, it might be correct. I don't know. What happened to those girls seems very chaotic. Doesn't seem to be any real rhyme or reason. There's no, okay, I'm going to tie you up here. You stay here. We're going to do this. There's nothing. It's just like chaos. And then you got this guy on the bridge. He looks like he's out of his mind. He's moving his head. That's why you can't see him. He's moving so much. That's why the image is so blurry. He's looking around. He's moving his mouth. He's got his tongue out. He's spitting out a cigarette. Like, it does seem erratic. And that's one of the main reasons why we're having trouble getting a clear image, a view of the person that's on that bridge, because this person is moving around so much. Yeah, it's not the case at all. Yeah, very interesting. I'll take a look at that, V. So either he's made the decision that I'm going to go ahead and do this so I appear crazy, or the dude is crazy. And if either way, it needs to be vetted. Because I believe what happened to those girls, he very well may be insane. I mean, what other explanation do you have? Either you planned it out and you planned to back in and you planned to do all, you had it all mapped out completely. You were going to bring them down by the water. You were going to sexually assault them, bring them through the water, get all of your DNA off of them, and then leave them on the other side. You're going to cover them up, and then you're just going to walk on out of there. Or you were just out there because you're stressed out and you're having some kind of an episode and you don't even really remember what happened. You woke up and you were in the middle of a crime scene. I mean, that's what OJ said happened, right? Hypothetically. Heather says, look at all the cold cases that are being solved with DNA now. All those killers were hiding in plain sight for the most part, aside from the ones that were already in prison, of course. Yeah, it's like hiding in plain sight should be expected, I think, at this point. And I know that some killers were like, well, it's obvious this guy's a killer. He's a creep his whole life. We knew it was going to happen. He's a repeat offender. That's just not always the case. All right, guys. This is we're going to wrap it up. Let me go through here. What's up, She Warrior? Yeah, good point. Candace says, I got pulled away from chat, so I might have missed this. What prompted the defense to file and announce this? I think they're trying to get the confessions thrown out. Right now is the battle of the confession. The Franks hearings and all that was a battle over the search warrant, right? Saying, hey, you can't go search Richard Allen's house because the investigators didn't tell Judge Diener that they had all this huge pile of evidence leading to somebody else. So therefore, it was exculpatory, and you have to throw out the search warrant because they did it illegally. They did a search on him knowing damn well that he might not be the guy. And they didn't tell the judge about it. So that's what that was all about. And this one now is about the confessions. Basically, all of the things that are going to hurt them during the trial, they're attacking now. Suffered mental illness, depression his whole adult life. And I believe that. You know, he was very quiet. He didn't make it through boot camp. I don't know. They could have made him a Section 8. Asked him to, that kicked him out of boot camp for whatever reason. Maybe whatever he was going through at boot camp that got him kicked out was what he was going through around the time of the murders and what he might be going through now. I don't know. I think it is possible this dude might be crazy. That theory I definitely will listen to. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you guys. Shout out to the whole Sleuth crew, everybody who supports my channel. No disrespect to anybody out there. Yeah, I just don't know enough about it, CJ. Yeah, definitely not going to court. They're not going to trial, in my opinion. But I could be wrong. I'm just some guy on YouTube who decided to be a journalist. It's a midlife crisis, I say. But I'm having fun. You guys make it possible. I'm doing what I want to do. I feel like I'm helping. I'm becoming a better person. So we're going to continue going down this path. But I couldn't do it without you guys. That much I do know. What's up, Cindy? Natalie Holloway's killer murdered Flores 5 years later to the date. I don't know if Evansdale, it's not to the date. The dates are reversed and the murders are about 5 years apart. So I don't know. If you want to send me something about it, I'll take a look. So if anybody feels like sending me an email, sleuthintuition@gmail.com. Thank you, Priscilla. All right, guys, we have a sponsor for today's live stream, Priscilla of Boston. Thank you so much. All right, guys, that's it. I'm out of here. If I have time, I'm not quite sure what's going on today with the fam. But maybe we'll get together a little bit later. Stay tuned to find out. Peace.